let's head down to the South where we're going to wrap up the show talking a little Georgia Bulldogs recruiting. 41-31, Georgia wins over Mississippi State today. Wasn't expected to be a big visit weekend, but boy, there were some late additions to this list that made it elite, right? We got defensive lineman Elijah Griffin. We knew he was coming in. Cornerback Dijon Lee from committed Alabama, 5-star. We knew he was coming in. But then you get Zayden Walker on campus, a linebacker that picked Arkansas over Georgia and Florida State in a shocker. Got Anthony Rogers on campus. He's committed to Alabama. And then, of course, you get Anthony Crua, who's a linebacker prospect from UNC that's been on campus a couple times recently here in Athens, and I think something's cooking.
Well, Elijah Griffin's going to end up at Georgia, in my opinion, had the on-3 RPM on the Bulldogs since April, since coming over to on-3. I think that they're by far the team to beat. Him coming to take his official visit, his birthday weekend,
right,
this weekend. I think that they continue to set the tone with the way they play defense, his relationship with Trey Scott, the players on the team, what Georgia is able to do for their players. I think that it's ultimately we're in the countdown for when Elijah Griffin's in the class.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's bring in Hayes Faucett. Hayes might be currently working on the Elijah. It's his birthday. We know recruits love dates of significance. Not only is it his birthday this weekend, but he's taking an official visit. How long have you been working on this graphic, Hayes?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Look, Miami's trying hard to get Elijah Griffin to campus here still. They're undefeated. We'll see if he takes a visit to Miami, but I think that Georgia is the team to beat for Elijah Griffin. And then you look at Dijon Lee. Who else?
Yeah, what do you make of Dijon Lee being?
Well,
is that just a visit that he said he wanted to take, or is there something brewing?
Well, he's taken. Look, Oregon's trying to make a late run at him. He's having a fantastic senior season for Mission Viejo. Georgia, in my opinion, was the runner-up the first time he went through his process. So we'll see that him getting back to campus. This was a needle-moving visit. Obviously, Kirby Smart, his track record as a defensive backs coach, in addition to what he's done at Georgia, has always been advantageous. Coach Dante Williams and that West Coast connections, knowing Dijon for a long time. Anthony Crua is an interesting name there because it's his second home game. It's coming down to North Carolina or Georgia. North Carolina, they're playing hard, but they lost again today. Georgia, he's been there 2 straight weeks. Linebacker is one of their big positions of need at the end of the show or at the end of the cycle. And I really think that I would be surprised if we don't see Anthony Crua in Georgia's class. I think that would come down to, did they flip Tavian Wallace, who was there today?
Tavian Wallace. I said Zayden Walker. Zayden Walker is the 5-star. He's committed to Georgia. Tavian Wallace is committed to Arkansas. I'm sorry. I made a mistake earlier in the show. So
and Tavian was at Arkansas 2 weeks ago for the Razorbacks' victory over Tennessee. And you see him posting pictures with his future quarterback teammate and stuff. And Coach Woodson and his relationship is second to none. So it's not
when we talk about surprise commitments during the summer. I mean, I know we talk a lot about CJ Wiley and that commitment to Florida State over LSU and Georgia, but Tavian Wallace committing to Arkansas over Georgia and FSU, who Georgia and FSU we kind of thought they were going back and forth for Tavian Wallace. And now he shows back up in Athens. I mean,
well, he visited Florida State and Georgia a lot more, and probably that's geographically related. But Hayes, I'd love to ask you on Tavian Wallace, just your thoughts on, when did you see him going to Arkansas? How did that play out for you behind the scenes? Our guy, Philip Dukes, here at the 5-Star Flex, he had a nice interview with Tavian Wallace before he popped for Arkansas publicly. How did he spell that out for you behind the scenes?
I just remember him calling me on the phone like 3 or 4 days before he announced. And I remember whenever he told me, he was like, yeah, this is going to shock a lot of people, because I think the industry consensus was that, it was probably going to go to Florida State. And he knew that, obviously. And then he, committed to Arkansas. And that was definitely one of the big surprises of the summer, I would say.
But when he called you, that was the first you had heard of Arkansas?
Yeah. He never said anything about any other school. It was just Arkansas the whole time. So
no, he had talked to you about Arkansas the whole time, or just in that last 3 days?
Oh, yeah, no, just in the days leading up to his commitments, it was always Arkansas. Like we said with Pickett, and there's countless of other examples of guys. During the week they're going to commit one. At one point they say one school and then they switch it to another one. With Wallace, it was Arkansas the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think people, even the diehard readers that read us all the time, realize how much things change even over the final 72 hours sometimes, because these young men are making these difficult decisions, and they're trying. And you got Kirby Smart and Nick Saban and guys like that making their final pitches. They didn't get these jobs by accident. Brian Kelly,
they've been through a lot of these battles before. They know what to say.
Exactly right, and so. These things are fluid and things change at the buzzer too, with maybe some of the things that you're able to promise a young man as well.
Yeah.
From an infrastructure standpoint.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Now, Georgia's going to head to Texas next week, but hey, we got Anthony Crua showing back on campus. Is he on flip watch, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's still taking his time, but again, he got a lot of love for North Carolina. Everyone loves Coach Mac Brown. He is the best. I mean, he's fantastic. He's first class, treats everybody the way you want to be treated. So they got a lot of people in that class that are rooting for them to get it on track and play better. And that community does a great job supporting their student athletes as well. And that's why we see North Carolina do such a great job recruiting the state year in and year out. But 2 visits for him to the state of Georgia, or to the Georgia games. In-state kid
back-to-back weekends
that Glenn Schumann and company are turning it up for. I like the way it's starting to trend for Georgia.
All right, Georgia fans, tap in, talk to us. How we feeling after a win over Mississippi State? Some big-time recruits on campus. Talk to us, comment section below.